You're listening to the Absolutely Cosmic Podcast.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Absolutely Cosmic Podcast, where we talk anything and everything self-improvement from the nerdy perspective. I'm your host, Joshua Salgado, and we have a very, very special episode today. I'm introducing a guest that I'm excited to have on the show, Jake Barratt, owner of Barratt Enterprises, LLC. It's a trailblazing company in the industry of tree work. And what's so special about him is he's almost like a jack of all trades. This business is coming up, and honestly, from tree removal, stump grinding, grading and excavation, dumpster rental, hydro seeding, as well as clearing, lot clearing and land expansion, he's really got the bases covered for everything you would need, almost like an exterior yard. And how do I know that this business is so well? Well, I have firsthand experience that he provides quality work. I worked for him for a period of time, and I can tell you that the quality that he produces is excellent. So to all my viewers who are in the Connecticut area, if you guys do need work on your lawns, need a tree removed, need anything of that sort, I'll put a link in the description below to the YouTube channel to actually go to his website and actually start inquiring about that. All right, how are you, Jake?
Dude, I'm good, man. I gotta hire you again so you can just start introducing me because that sounded better than I could ever do. That was
Yeah.
awesome, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
I
man.
appreciate it.
Just excited to be here.
Awesome. That's great. Well, I hope I'm not taking you away from actually your busy schedule, because I know you're always running around and you're working extra hard, and you're honestly like an inspiration. That's kind of why I started the whole t-shirt line Cosmic Absolute, because I knew I wanted to do something, but then like I came to work for you after your sister referred me, and like I saw how much work you put in as the owner, and it kind of gave me a different perspective on how much impact you have on the people that you help, and like going to like Jason's lawn and doing that,
Mhm.
seeing while he was away, doing what he had to do kind of thing, how you help people. We go above and beyond when customers would ask for extra service, and you would just go back and do it for them. You'd help them out. You'd give them advice for longevity wise. It wasn't like, I'm just going to cut your tree down, charge you, and then that's the end all be all. You were there to really help them get what they needed, wanted, and really benefit their house, benefit them. You know what I mean? So I was like, that's a true business person. And the hard work that you put in, I'm like, well, why can't I implement some of that and some of where I want to go? So I was like, you know what, let's get froggy. And I started the Cosmic Absolute line.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, dude. Yeah, it's really
Appreciate it.
cool.
Appreciate it. So I guess, I talked with you while I was working for you a little bit and heard some of the stories, as well as Kyle. He kind of spilled the beans on some of the stories that, again, made me admire you so much. But like the origins of Barratt Enterprises, what's your story? What's the origin? How did it start?
Oh, geez, man. So it's actually it's kind of funny. So truly, the business started almost as like a side hustle, like just trying to get a couple bucks. Really, I think I was 25 at the time, and I didn't have a lot of direction in my life. I had a full time job working in the logistics industry, and I knew I didn't like it, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. And so I bought a dump trailer and said, I'm going to pick up people's garbage.
There we
And
go.
that's what I did for the first year. I picked up like couches, refrigerators, TVs, bulky items that people like couldn't fit in their trash can. And then I started like getting that gratification basically of like you have the customer interaction. People are like, "Oh, dude, you got back to me right away. You said you got here when you said you were going to be here," and like that gave me like an awesome feeling, right? And so at the time, like the transactions were so minimal, like I pretty much didn't make any money, but like we were picking up like $50, $60, but it wasn't about the money. It was about that like that little high that I got from making someone happy and completing their project. Um, and from there, we kind of snowballed like over the years. So we're in year five now.
Wow.
But each year I've added new services that, someone may have asked me, "Hey, do you do this or do you do that?" And I'm like, I was starting to like try to refer people to like, industry professionals that would offer those services, but I'd hear the same things like, "Hey, they didn't call me back." A lot of these guys that I would try to refer, people like wanted like a cut of the money, and like I'm like, listen, I don't even want anything from you. I just want to get these customers someone that like
Yeah.
can solve their problem,
Yeah.
right? And so basically, over the years, I've kind of just I've found like little small niche markets where I've found where I can make an impact and solve problems for customers. And that's kind of like the direction and where I go. And like
Awesome.
you said, I mean, we do a little bit of everything. I mean, this year or I say 2023 was mainly tree work. We did a lot of grading and lawn seeding, but for 2024, most of our main focus is more than likely going to be in the tree industry. So I'm
It's
excited.
awesome. Hell
Yeah,
yeah. Hell yeah.
yeah,
I will say cutting down trees is awesome. And then again, like when we took down a big tree and you'd have like, an older lady come out or, someone come out and they're like, wow, like this is really cool. And, it's the land looks clear. Like that tree's been, we've been worried it's going to fall on the house for years. And now finally we can breathe. It was really cool to see that firsthand. And then how you were excited. And then Kyle always got excited. He's like, this tree is I remember one day he was like climbing. He's like, how this tree is a female? And I'm like, why? He's like, it has thorns. And I'm like, I didn't even know trees have, can be
that's
male or
Kyle.
female.
Yeah,
Yep. But
Kyle's the tree ID guy.
yep.
He loves talking about trees.
Yeah.
I like cutting them down, but Kyle loves talking about them and
Yeah.
keeping them alive. So
Definitely. Yeah. So that's cool. And again, like I've literally, when I was working with you, we would, do the job, through the day, and then you'd get back and you'd stay there like beyond me and Kyle staying there, and you'd be, doing maintenance. You'd be doing different things that, you know, people don't realize when you start a business, you have to go above and beyond. And seeing that from you was like really awesome. Again, it's inspiring. So
mhm,
having you on the podcast and kind of coming from year 1 to year 5, like you said, and adding little services that can help people solve the problems that are kind of difficult. I mean, tree work's a challenging, tree work grading, all that's challenging because it's subjective to the land, it's subjective to the tree or the yard. You
correct.
can't just be like, just chop it down. Like there's a lot of
Hmm.
safety things, and like you
Hmm.
might need big equipment, you might need small equipment. It might be, it's very subjective to the job itself. So the fact that you're solving those problems and you focus on the customer and helping them out, gratifying them, taking care of them, that's the biggest thing. A lot of time nowadays we see businesses want to just make money or,
Correct.
focus on a pride type thing or a vanity type, focus. Whereas you're like, no, I just want to make sure my customers are taken care
Hmm.
of and they get whatever they need done.
I think that's what it's about, man. Because
Yeah.
like, when you go into business, and like I said, I'll use myself as an example. Like the first year, 2 years, or 3 years, like I didn't really know where I wanted to go. I know I like
Yeah.
solving the problem, but it was never about the money, right? Like
Yeah.
it was never like I want to be rich and this. I mean, listen, no one. I'm going to say this. Like I don't. I think anyone that says they don't want to be rich is lying to you.
Yeah.
I'd love to
Yeah.
have an abundance of money and be able to do what I
Yeah.
want to do, but like you can't run a business with that mindset, because if you
Yeah.
do, then that's all you'll focus on,
Yeah.
and a lot of companies
100%.
do that, and a lot of
Hmm.
companies fail simply because of that. They're focused on the
Yeah.
dollar. So
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. So I guess kind of going into the next question, I think we're already kind of touching on it, but like, how has being a small business owner and then now to, growing every year, how has that improved your life and those around you and those that you're, I guess, a role model for, kind of thing?
yeah, man. So it's so weird, like the personal development journey that like I didn't even know I embarked on by having a business, right? Like you really don't know what's happening, but
Yeah.
you know, it's the mindset change. So like I'll say this, when I'm able to pay people, like I get excited, dude. Like I'm
Yeah.
never like, fuck, it's Friday. Like, am I allowed to
Yeah.
swear on the podcast?
Yeah. Of course. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm
Hell
never
yeah.
like, fuck, it's Friday, dude. I have to pay people, this, that, and the third, right? Like, I'm always like excited, dude. I'm like, these guys earn
Yeah.
their money. I enjoy
Yeah.
when people are happy. And like, I think that's the biggest thing now is like the mindset shift of like, it was me for the longest time just running the business, and then now it's like, all right, how can I make other people's lives better that are working for me? How can I give them more freedom of time? How can I get them more money so they're able to
Yeah.
do things with their family that they weren't able to do before? And like that's where like I get excited now, which is funny because if you talked to me 5 years ago, I wouldn't have been excited over that. Like I would have been
Yeah.
like, it's they're probably just employees, right? But now
Yeah.
it's like people are team members, their family, like they're a reason that I'm able to survive, and I want to be the reason that they're able to survive, right?
Yeah.
And it's really cool because like I said, I never thought that my mind would kind of be in that spot, but I like growing people around me and
Yeah.
helping any way that I possibly can. So
100%.
yeah.
100%. And I think like to that, that word. You're not just building employees, but I feel like you build leaders. Cause like, I don't know, since I was there, Kyle, again, he's not here. So, but
Yeah.
like he has a very strong leadership, I guess, like mindset. Like it's very cool to see how he gets into things, and then like the day, I forgot what type of bush it was, but we had to get really creative to get that bush out of there, out of a yard. And like, we came up with that. Or like when we were laying those bricks to
Hmm.
build up that older lady's house before we
Yep.
hydroseeded it, we had to get creative. And one thing that, again, I like about how you run your business was that you let us kind of figure it out for the most part. If we had problems, we could call you, or if we needed advice on things,
Hmm.
we could call you, but you gave us the freedom to make those decisions and figure out, okay, what are we going to do first for the day, on the job and stuff like that, other than, if there was a priority. And then you did communicate, this is a priority, get this done today.
Hmm.
But if you can get these things done, or if you can do them at the same time, get them done. And again, the fact of you having such a, how should I say, value towards taking care of your employees, with giving them the freedom of time, being able to pay them,
Hmm.
being able to take care of them, and being able to give them opportunities to grow. That's just showing that, like, I mean, your business is going to go really far. I feel like you're going to be the number one tree working industry, in Connecticut, maybe even New England one day, because you
That's the
care about
goal.
the people first and your customers. Those are
Yeah.
the two most important aspects of a business, I feel like. So,
Yeah, and to just touch on one thing that you said there, which was cool, right? So it was super hard for me to let go, right?
mhm.
Because like when you have your own business, like it's your baby, right?
Yeah.
And I'm learning as I go. I've stepped on every landmine I feel like I could step on, and I'm going to continue to step on landmines. Like they're not all gone, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's just the reality. But
Yeah.
um, one of my mentors, which Chris Warren's,
Hmm.
I was talking to him when I was bringing people on board for the first time, and he said you have to let people dent the car, but don't let them crash it,
Yeah.
right? And that stuck with me, man, because like it's tough to like relinquish the reins,
Hmm.
to two people that may not have a complete understanding of the job that they're supposed to do, but
Yeah.
it's like you guys are smart guys, and everyone that I bring on, I trust fully. So it's like
Yeah.
you kind of have to let people trying to come up with their own ways, problem solve on their own. No
Yeah.
one wants that overbearing manager or
Yeah.
boss that's like, all right, you're
Yeah.
gonna do this, and you're like, okay, like I'm just a zombie now.
Yeah.
So like that definitely, like that quote will always stick with me, simply because like it's true. You have to let
Yeah.
people kind of figure their way out, and they're going to make mistakes, and then we learn from the mistakes and we push forward.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And I think, every person's a different person, has different perspectives, ideas, ways of going at things. So, like, let's say me, for example, if I go and try to do a task X, Y, and Z, I may do it from a certain way that I think works, and it may work, but there may be like 800 million different ways you can get it done that are efficient. Or, once you do it that way, you can say, okay, I'm going to pull this part of that idea and this part of that idea. And eventually, and again, the fact that you allow your employees, you give them the tools to put on the thinking cap
Mhm.
and dent the car maybe,
Yep. Yep.
but, not crash it. I don't know. I feel like that's brilliant. That's awesome.
Hey, gotta have fun, man.
Exactly. So I think one thing I found was really cool was hydro seeding. I think that the viewers would really enjoy, what is hydro seeding, and then how is it better than traditional methods of laying sod or laying grass seed?
So, hydro seeding is a great alternative to sod. The reason it's a great alternative is cost. So, sod is super
Yeah.
expensive and it's super laborious to put down, right? You're going to be rolling sod out. You have to grade the area perfectly. Like, there's a lot that goes into the sod. So, the cost for sod is significantly more than the hydro seed. The hydro seed is, in my opinion, like the best bang for your buck when you're seeding. So if you're hand seeding, not to get super nerdy here, but those like little walk behind seeders for like the Scotts
Yeah.
ones at Home Depot.
Yeah.
Now they have a little wheel in the bottom, and the wheel is going to spin as you're pushing it. And the problem with those is that typically the seeds have different blends, and the different blends, the seed sizes are different, right? So the
Gotcha.
smaller stuff or bigger stuff may fall first, and
Mhm.
you're not going to get an even spread, across your lawn. Now
Yeah.
this is getting into the really like nerdy science of growing grass, because for most traditional lawns, people just throw seed down, and
Yeah.
eventually over time you'll keep throwing seed down and it will grow,
Yeah.
right? But the hydro seeding's awesome because what it is, it's a blend of 100% wood fiber mulch. You have fertilizer in there. There's a tackifier in there. There's your seed, and we use a couple products called like Embella, which is
Okay.
basically to promote the germination of the seed. And then
Okay.
there's another product called, oh, you're gonna get me on this one. It's a weed preventative. I can't think of it right now. It's like an antifungal, basically.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
that helps prevents the weeds when you're starting a new lawn. But the cool part with
Gotcha.
hydro seed is it goes in a big tank, it mixes it all up, so the spread rate is perfect every time because it's
Yeah.
basically mixed through the entire load the
Yeah.
entire way, and you get a really good coverage. And truthfully, it's awesome because the wood keeps the seed moist over
Hmm.
time, so it doesn't dry out as fast as a traditional hand seeding on the lawn.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's an awesome service. We love doing it. It's a ton of
Yeah.
fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know the same job where we laid those bricks down
Hmm.
when Kyle and Eddie came up to actually just basically they were like a firefighter of
Yeah.
grass seed, and they're just
Yeah.
like whole yard was done pretty damn quick too. That's
Yep.
that's what I was like, whoa, like it's already done. Because I
Yep.
know my essentially my father-in-law he did a portion of his yard traditional. He had the seed and he bought the hay and he was just like every day kind of spraying it out. It was very meticulous and it ended up failing a few times before he got a little bit layer of grass.
Hmm.
So I was just so surprised that like a method like that it's just like you spray it down
Yeah.
quick can like lead to like exponential growth and like density of the actual grass kind of
Hmm.
thing.
Yeah. No, it's awesome, man. And every lawn that we seeded this year on for hydro seed came out flawless.
Yeah.
Like it was just like a perfect year. We had like I used a new blend than we used in the previous years, and it
Hmm.
like it was just perfect. And
Yeah.
we've had issues with hand seed, like you said. It's tough for that seed to retain moisture. It's tough
Hmm.
to make sure that your spread ratio is good. There's a lot of things. It's all mathematical when we're doing the hydro seed. Like everything's weighed out, everything's scaled, like everything has to be
Yeah.
perfect in that mix. Versus you just grabbing a handful of seed and throwing it around, and
Yeah.
you're still making your best educated guess. But the hydro seed's definitely a cool option. Yeah, for
100%.
sure.
Yeah. So I have a few more questions for you. One
Hmm.
of them, this might be a little goofy, but is there any particular jobs maybe super challenging or super gratifying or something just went crazy or again like you stepped on maybe a landmine or something that calls out to you that was just like a story for you to kind of enjoy, you know what I mean, and to tell.
Yeah, we've had a lot of interesting jobs. Um, I'd say like as a team, everyone was always really good at like pushing through the suck, right? Like when the job was miserable and we all knew it, like it was just like, all right, we're gonna get it done, right? I would say there's definitely like a couple. You were on one of them. You were on that job at Jason's house. Like
Yeah.
that one was
Oh
that one
yeah.
was yeah, that was interesting. It's
Yeah.
like, and the cool thing about what we do is you're problem solving all day, and it's nature, so it's never like you're going in and it's exactly the same.
Yeah.
So you can't. Every job is completely different. So
Mhm.
like, and we'll use Jason's job as an example because like that's honestly that's the only job in like 5 years I've legitimately lost money on, right?
Really.
And it wasn't about the money. It was like I just laugh about it at this point, and like we were obviously frustrated at the time because we were trying every way we possibly
Yeah.
could to get that tree on the ground, but like
Mhm.
we need to make sure it was done safe.
Yeah.
And I don't know, did you come back with us when we had the crane there?
I don't think I did.
So we went back with a crane. So we needed a crane that
Damn.
set up with one outrigger basically off the driveway, one through the fence in the backyard, that little fence in the
Yeah.
backyard. And then the other two were like
Jesus.
basically pinned against the house, and he had like 3 inches of clearance like on the gutter to move. And
Oh
it was
damn.
like it was crazy, man. But like, the job got done,
Yeah.
and like I wouldn't say there's like a ton of jobs that we've had that like we've never gotten like really like I would say stumped completely because there's always a solution, right?
Yeah.
It's just figuring out what the next step is and then executing.
Yeah.
And but yeah, I can't. I've had a couple other jobs. Or I think there was another fun job that we had. This is a good story. My landlords at the time asked me if I could paint a fence,
Yeah.
and I was like, yeah, I could paint a fence, right? This had to have been 3 or 4 years ago. And they're like, yeah, we got a quote for $1,000 to paint this fence. And I mean, if you wanted to do it, we'd be happy to give you the money. And I'm like, $1,000 to paint a fence? I mean, dude, going to be a millionaire tomorrow,
Yeah.
Well, so
Yeah.
I call my buddy Ray, who's a painter. He paints really high end cars, right? Like classic cars. And he's like the man, right? So I call him and I'm like, Ray, I'm like, yo, I said, you ever paint a fence? He's like, well, I got a paint sprayer. And I'm like, that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Opposed to the paintbrush, let's. I was like, how much paint do you think we're going to use? He's like, I don't know, maybe like 2 gallons. Came out, we measured it all up. He's like, yeah, probably 2 gallons. Well, 10 gallons of paint later, and maybe 3 weeks of labor of me every day going back to hand paint this fence.
Yeah.
Like we just weren't prepared to do it, and it
Yeah.
was we just laugh about it at this point because it was like we laugh about the fence painting job because we thought it was going to be like this breeze of a job, and it couldn't have been farther from that. It was like one of those like fences that has the 4 posts and there's like a million of them, and so you had to paint each side. And I was like,
Yeah.
I was naive. I was like, yo, the paint sprayer is going to get all this. We'll be
Yeah.
good, you know. And
Didn't.
it didn't work that way. So, but I say those are probably like two jobs that we'll always we'll always laugh about at this
Yeah.
point, just because you know they were just challenging. They didn't go the way
Yeah.
we thought they were going to go, and but I mean, at the end of the day, they both got done.
Yeah,
So
exactly. And I
yeah,
feel like even when things are extremely challenging or don't work out as you intend, because I think like Mike Tyson, he has a saying, everyone has a plan until you get punched in the mouth.
yep,
And I feel like, I mean, I don't know, I'm just starting my business journey, and I feel like, it's definitely you have a challenge, and then you have to overcome like two or three more once
hmm
you figure out that one thing. So I feel like you're always constantly learning, and I
hmm
feel like those jobs are kind of an exemplification of that. Like it might go like you might have to do every little post,
yep,
meticulously and go, you know, it might not be the greatest, most fun in the moment, but you're going to learn. And then you're also going to have fun with it. At the end of the day, like those are the stories that you live with in life and stuff like that. You'll be able to, laugh 10, even now, but 10 years down the road, 20
hmm
years down the road, you'll be like, oh, remember that kind of thing.
oh
And
yeah,
it
we'll still 100% still laugh about it.
yeah,
And
yeah.
like you said, like every job has a learning experience, right?
Yeah.
And I've learned that I'm not Picasso, and I've learned that I shouldn't be painting fences,
Yeah.
and I shouldn't be painting fences when it rains
Yeah.
because that happened too. So it's like these are all like things, and like I said, it is we learn from every situation
Yeah.
that we're in. And
Yeah.
to your point is like the thing with business that I've learned, the biggest thing is like
Mhm.
right when you think you've got it, you don't,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And like I'm gonna talk 5 years from now, and I'm gonna look back at this podcast, right? And I'm gonna be like, dude, you actually like thought you knew something,
Yeah.
and then I'm like, yeah, you sounded like an idiot on that podcast, sharing. But we share our
Yeah.
experiences with as much knowledge as we have at the time, and
Yeah.
you're always growing. So it's like it's always
Exactly.
changing. So
Yeah.
it's definitely cool, man. It's definitely
Yeah.
awesome.
100%. So I guess I have another question, and this one I feel like is a little bit loaded. So if someone wanted to start a hardy, sustainable business like you've built, a successful, sustainable, hardy business that, I mean, you've got, again, all different roots, and no pun intended for
Yeah.
trees, but all different roots and different kind of services within this field. What are 3 tips you would give them?
3 tips.
Yeah.
And a lot of people may disagree with this. So I have a couple that I'll say that I
Yeah.
use. So it's don't value your time. And the reason I say that is the amount of hours that it goes into starting a business, right?
Hmm.
Like I know a lot of friends and I know a lot of acquaintances that start businesses and they're like, dude, I'm not making any money. And it's like, it's the long game, man. It's the
Yeah.
long game. Like,
Hmm.
and you're going to put in early mornings and you're going to put in late nights and you're not going to see the dollar back for it. Right.
Yeah.
Like, you should just, I think the thing is like pushing forward towards the mission and whatever your
Yeah.
mission is. Right. So, whatever your end goal is,
Yeah.
a lot of people I think get caught in the rut and they're like, like let's just say after year one, you're like, all right, I only made this much money or I only did this. And it's like, no, but you did this, and this, right?
Yeah.
So like I'd
100%.
say like you can value your time to a degree, but I would say at the same point, like you're gonna put hours in. So don't
Yeah.
try to nickel and dime for everything that you're gonna
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
Um, Another tip I'd say, and you heard this that they were talking about the other week, is give
Mhm.
before you take.
Yeah.
Giving people education, helping people, doing what's right, and being a good human being is like huge,
Yeah.
right? And customers notice that, your people, your friends, your family, like people are gonna know when you're open with them and you're just trying to help them, right? Like here's your service, like you're selling the T-shirt. Here's my T-shirt, right? This is what you're
Mhm.
getting, and like people will value that because you're open about it. There's
Yeah.
no, don't have any hidden nonsense that you're trying
Yeah.
to get something out of
Yeah.
them, right? Like, you're creating your art and you're putting
Yeah.
it on a t-shirt because it makes you happy,
Yeah.
right? Like,
100%.
you've never told me once that you're like, I need $1 million next month.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
no, you enjoy doing what you do, and that's why you do it. So, like,
Yeah.
that's huge. A third tip, I'd say just grind.
Yeah.
Like, and I honestly could go back to like the first point that I made, but it's like, you know, you have to be out there and you have to execute.
Yeah.
If you're not on the ground and you're not doing the work, it's a lot of people will give you advice, and I'd say that's probably one of my like bigger weaknesses because of like time allowance right now.
Yeah.
Is I don't schedule enough personal time for myself
Yeah.
to work on what I need to as a human level.
Yeah.
But people like to, talk about things and not execute,
Yeah.
right?
100%.
And a lot of people will say, I want to go to the moon, I want to go to the moon, but they won't have a plan to get there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'd say putting in the work, figuring
Mhm.
out your path and deciding exactly like where you want to go and how you're going to get there, and then executing on whatever it is that you need to do. So, I mean, like I
100%.
said, those are just three that I can think of off the top of my head here.
100%. Those are extremely valuable, because in the previous podcast episodes that I filmed, just me rambling into the camera, but I
Yep.
talked about how like time is the most valuable thing we get on earth, because you can't get it back. You can't make more of it.
Mhm.
So like having genuine time, and I guess the saying like, give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, give to God what belongs to God. Like, if you have a 9 to 5, do the 9 to 5, but you have a few hours at the end of the day that if you want to start a business, you want to be a streamer, you want to, I don't know, you want to be a pro athlete, whatever it is, right? Or you want whatever it is, right? You can dedicate, even if it's 1 hour a day, 2 hours a day, whatever you can, to building that, and don't shy away from it, and then execute and actually do it.
Mhm.
Because again, everyone's going to suck at what they do when they start. But again, if you keep building and building and building, and every little thing that you do, you learn lessons. Like, now that painting a fence, you realized, okay, it's a little bit more complicated, probably shouldn't do in the rain. Or like, I'm sure that you've learned a lot with the tree work too. Like, every job you learn a little bit. I think that's the key,
Yeah,
I've
man.
heard a
Yeah.
saying from Japan
Yeah.
where it's like a short business plan for them is 20 years.
Mm.
Like, they plan in like 150 to 100-year increments. I've heard that. I don't know how
That's
true it is,
crazy.
but I guess it's a good mindset to have,
Yeah, man. And like it's cool
Mhm.
because, you get out exactly what you put into a business, right? And you can't be discouraged off the
Yeah.
bat. Like, and I'll say, like, you've heard the term like 1% better every day, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes, like, as a business owner, and I mean just as a human being, like,
Yeah.
you'll like, I'll reflect on 2023, and you're
Yeah.
like, man, I didn't hit this goal, or I didn't do this, I said I was going to do this, but it's like, you have to almost like erase that from your mindset, and it's like, look how far we came, right?
Yeah.
Like, in 2022, it was just me, that was it.
Yeah.
And in 2023, we had a total of 5 people working with us, right? You were one of them, and like, that was awesome, and
Yeah.
it's like, maybe we didn't hit the revenue goal, or we didn't hit the growth goal that we wanted to, but
Yeah.
it's like, they're steps in the right direction, and they're
Mhm.
laying the foundation for the next years. And like, that's the exciting part, is like, I don't think there's ever a race,
Yeah.
it's you
100%.
versus you,
Yeah.
and you can't compare yourself to the guy sitting next to
Yeah.
you, or someone down the street, and you can't compare off
100%.
of like what you see on Facebook of Instagram,
Yeah.
because people
Exactly.
are only showing their best days, they're not showing their
Yeah.
worst days,
Yeah. Exactly.
we all
100%.
have bad days, so.
Yes, I think there's something to be said to that, because that's not, I think as a society, I think my generation struggles with that a lot,
Mhm.
because like everybody wants to be this millionaire. And like, in my journey of trying to build a podcast or starting the website, I've had to tutorial a lot of stuff on YouTube, because I'm not like a genius, right? Nobody is. And I feel like I see that a lot, is like that everybody wants to show this high, like how I got 1 million views in 30
Mhm.
days or whatever. And it's like, it's not about that. It's about starting from the ground up, making genuine stuff for people, doing genuine things for people, like you said. So
Yep.
again, I think there's a lot to be said with what you said with that too. I
Mm.
feel that I resonate with that. And I think my viewers, our viewers, are going to resonate with that in the
It's awesome.
podcast.
Yeah.
Awesome, Jake. Well, thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it. Because again, you have an extremely busy schedule, and I'm sure with the snow and stuff, you've had to shift around a lot of stuff and whatnot. So I appreciate you coming on. This has been the Absolutely Cosmic Podcast. I'm your host, Joshua Salgado. Today's episode I felt like was a banger. I know you guys, the viewers, are really going to enjoy it today. So again, thank you guys for listening. Please give consideration to smash the subscribe button down below. And hopefully we'll get you on the next one. Peace, guys. Awesome. Thanks.
Thank you for listening. Consider absolutely smashing the subscribe button for more content like this.